Did I give
All
you
right,
an
it's going
invite?
now. I
Yeah.
got it.
Okay.
So we're good.
All right, now we're live. Thank you, Steven. Appreciate you joining us again. Let's just jump right into the questions.
Let's do it.
You've been jump training for how long now?
Okay, so first of all, thanks for having me. I'm super excited. You guys are awesome. Been following you guys as well, and I think I've been jump training since the end of 2011. So it's this November. I think will be 9 years of like
Okay.
actually setting out to dunk. Yeah.
All right. So the biggest question that I think we try to solve with people as well, but the question we wanted to ask you is, what is holding you back? Because it seems like your journey has been, always high energy. Not worried about the energy part, but you'll make great progress. You'll be hitting 42, 43, whatever,
hmm
just like absolutely yeeting yourself off the ground. But then you run into injury. So I'm just
Yeah,
curious what what it is that's holding you back in particular, or if you figured that out, or if you got the game plan going. Like, what do
for
you
sure.
think?
So I think, long story short, it's my hips. I've always had
Okay.
super tight hips. I've squatted and I've deadlifted, but I've never done either with perfect form. Actually, the most recent squat I did, which was just out of nowhere, was probably the best form I've had in a long time, and that was after like a lot of hip mobility work. And right now, I'm actually in rehab mode. I've surrendered to it. That's part of my problem as well, is that I always try to heal things. I've been dealing with a nagging, really tight hamstring, a little bit of pain for a long time, and haven't really been able to remedy it. And I really think it stems from the hips being so tight, pulling my hamstring up. I've talked to a lot of different trainers, and they all say similar things: is that my hips are incredibly tight, my hamstrings look okay, the way my body moves. And so now I'm like really heavy focused on split squats. And I just started like a week or two ago, and it's crazy because I'm like really focused on it, and I actually feel like a pump in my hips, like the front hip flexor.
The hip
And
flexor,
I've
yeah.
yeah, so like I've done them before, and I've always focused on the range of motion. They feel good with my ankles and my hamstrings touching my calf, but I've never like really focused on the hip part and like keeping the back hip
Yep.
flexed forward. So that awareness is new, and I'm really just trying not to jump so that way I don't aggravate the hamstring. And the hips just feel, when I do those split squats, they feel like things are just like ripping, like a tons of tightness. So not ripping as like it's gonna
Yeah,
hurt something, but just
I
like
get you.
hitting a wall almost. Like that's it's that tight, but it feels
Yeah.
good. Like I already have progress.
And you've interviewed a lot of trainers. I couldn't even count how many people you've asked questions about. Do you stick with any one particular person's philosophies, or have you kind of just taken a little bit from everybody and come up with your own, I guess, training philosophy now? Because I know that
Yeah,
you coach other people, so I'm sure you give a shtick of
yeah.
like, here's kind of the general philosophy that you prescribe to.
Right. So that's actually a great point. I forgot how many, because I'm like I've been friends with them for so long that I forget that it's like so many different trainers for somebody that's
Yeah.
kind of new to it. But for me, I've definitely taken a bunch from all of them. I definitely take bits and pieces. For example, Daniel Back from Jump Science. One thing
Yep.
that I always say about him that I really love that he said was, when you do a strength phase, people always say how long. But let me get this out of the way too. When I train and when I train people, it's very intuitive. I'm not structured in the fact that I say it's always going to be 3 to 8 reps. I talk to the client. That's why I do the one-on-one coaching, because it's really
Yeah.
hard to give someone a program for a week. I don't know what their sleep schedule. We go over everything when I train. It's like sleep
Yeah.
schedules, it's nutrition. Like there's just too many variables. But when I talked with Daniel Back, one thing that really stuck with me was that when you want to get stronger, and when you're in a strength phase, get significantly stronger. So it's not like increase 10 pounds, it's not increase 20 pounds. Because if I'm starting a beginner's trainer and he can only squat 150 pounds or just the bar, 10 pounds is nothing. You know, you might want him to increase 50 pounds. But if they're at the 300 level, 10 pounds could be a lot for their strength phase. Maybe not 10, 20, you get the point. But so he says when you start the strength phase and you end it, you should be significantly stronger as an athlete, where you can say, yes, I made significant gains. So that's kind of a vague response, but that's what I talk about when it comes to the strength phase. And when it comes to other things, like John Evans helped me a lot with my knee. He's helped me with my hips as well. He's really great with the anatomy. ATG taught me about range of motion, like the different tendons and like progressing and different things like that. Yeah, and I can't think of any off the top of the head. PPA, I want to just shout out to Tyler as well. He really taught me about technique and the penultimate, the jabbing and the heel into that. So yeah, a lot from everybody. I can't really say that I pick and choose. I kind of just like conglomerate them all into my training.
What did John tell you for
About
yeah.
so one thing he taught me more recently that I remember is like actually off the dribble dunks, like really bringing the ball lower, because I'm such a speed jumper that I come in speed. And I don't know if you were asking about training, but I'm just going off what I remember. That was a
Yeah.
really eye-opening thing. Was that coming off speed? Like I always go down and up super fast. But when it
Yep.
comes to the dribble dunk or a drop step dunk, I actually have to take more time to load up more because I'm not using my arm swing. I'm not using that speed. So like it sounded wrong to like reach so low to the ground because like I need to get off the ground quick. But I actually did that and felt like an instant boost because I was like using my load. I was using my lower body and really using that power. So that was a really good insight from him. And the other thing he taught me was the anatomy of the hips. Is that when he was over my house, so he would stayed with me a couple nights, just when he was in town to visit, and like we went over it, we went through my body, and it was like I'm very anterior pelvic tilted,
Okay.
and like when I that means is that my hips are like, rotating at all times. They're like constantly pulling my hips up. So that awareness was like telling me, okay, I got to kind of loosen my hips so that way it kind of loosens my whole pelvis, which will then allow my hamstrings to come down. So that was really insightful from him. Yeah, he's been a really big help.
That's cool. That you got a ton of resources
I
backing you.
know. I feel so lucky with that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So along with that, since this is like jump training, well, a lot of people kind of mess up in the fact they just forget to practice their jumping.
Mm,
I know you're a huge advocate of that, and I love that, and that you're, spreading actual jump sessions, going to LA Fitness
yeah.
and other people involved too, and just practicing the art and this and just the reps of jumping. So
Yeah.
what's kind of your optimal jump volume? Because I know there's
Sure.
like a fine line between getting in enough reps to stimulate some kind of change. I know it's different for everybody too, but what's kind of your guidelines when it comes to jump volume?
Yeah. Great question. So it's tough because right when I think of that, I think of like the younger me. When I was starting, I think I was 18 and I could jump every day of the week almost. Like I would almost do that. No, and most of it was outdoors. It was just constant jumping and I had no pain in my body at all. So I almost advocate if you're young and you're still growing, you can jump a lot. I wouldn't say more than like 4 days a week or even back to back, but just push it. And when you're just starting out, like if you go hard as you can today, see if your knee hurts or anything hurts. If nothing hurts, then you're fine. Keep pushing it. I just think when you're young and before you start strength training, you can make so much gains with your natural jumping and pushing, just like anything else, that I think that gets underlooked because all the guys that they're watching now are doing so many strength movements. But when you're young, like all of us started just jumping. But I don't want people to just jump every day of the week. I like to try to say, think of like your body as just one energy system. And if you're just jumping, you're practicing jumping, try to have like one solid jump day a week. Say it's a Saturday, then you're kind of gearing up, but you don't want to, you're obviously, if you want to have your max energy day on that Saturday, you're not going to jump your hardest on Friday, but maybe you jump Monday or Tuesday, give your body a rest, do some intermediate jumps where you kind of do a full warm up. I think 2 to 3, if you're a beginner and you're just starting your jump training, 2 to 3 jump sessions a week, and you go hard, and you're also like the first week you're really monitoring your body, and every week going forward, you make great progress by just jumping, pushing your hardest. And the one thing I would say is track how many jumps you're doing, so that way you can say, okay, I did 30 jumps, no knee pain in the next couple days. That's like a checkbox. You can go with that, and then you just keep pushing it and just push it as much as you can. And if you're pushing hard and you're making like you might not make give it a couple weeks, it's not going to be a week, give it a couple months of that, you're going to feel faster, you're going to feel more explosive. But if you stop feeling like you're making progress by tracking yourself, how high you're touching on your hand, how fast you're moving, then I would say start implementing other things. But there's just so much to be gained from jumping.
And the funny thing about that, you said, as long as your knees don't hurt, as long as this doesn't hurt. What if on the first time someone goes to jump, they're already in pain? What do you tell that person? Like what's the, I don't know, rehab or prehab or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it? What's the healing that you would say to get them 100% before they embark on
Yeah.
on a rigorous jump schedule?
For sure. So I kind of went through a whole knee rehab myself. So it sucks because you have to go all the way back to the very smallest you could possibly do. And that to me would just literally be standing and doing like a half squat, not even like parallel, just like start lowering your body when you're at a stance or cold when you first wake up. And how far can you go? Some people can't even go like 45 degrees. And if that's the case, then you literally need rest and maybe just like ice and heat for a couple weeks, and then see if you can progress just to a half squat. Point is, try to eliminate as many variables as you can. First, diagnose how much pain you have. If you can go if you do a full body squat, can you do one? Can you do 10? When does the pain start? When does it stop? Like, do you feel it the next day? Do you feel it after you get warm? And then that's how you want to progress is, can you do this many reps and go slow? So the factors are like how many reps you can do and then how fast you're doing them. But just start with your body weight, because a jump is just basically like a short squat and then like a lot of force, but a lot of speed. And that speed causes more tension. So I would say, see how much range of motion you have with no pain. If you can get full range of motion, how many reps can you do in that full range of motion? If you can do like a good amount of reps, 10 to 20 body weight, can you go a little faster? Can you do a baby jump? And you work all the way up to a very baby jump. Before I did my baby jumps, because you can't really calculate how much force that is, I would do full body weight squats. Once I could do that, I would just put like the bar on my back or even just a couple dumbbells, do body weight squats. And that's how gradual I go. Very, very, very slow. And it takes time. That's the thing with tendons, is give them like 2 to 3 days before you do your next workout, because you don't know when they're going to flare up. You could do 10 bodyweight squats, feel good today, feel good tomorrow, but then the second day is when they start to feel the soreness, as you would if it was a muscle.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to share with you is I know you've had issues with your hamstring in terms of
Yeah.
tightness and just pain. I had a similar issue kind of during the first, wave of Corona and stay at home shit. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this time and just become flexible. So
Yeah.
I would stretch every single day for about an hour, sometimes multiple sessions a day. I was able to accomplish the splits. I could do my
Wow.
Jefferson curl below, wrist below toes with the bar. I was like, man, this is great. But my hamstrings were hurting more than ever
Wow.
after achieving all that flexibility. And uh, the thing I learned is you can't actually stretch to and expect improvement in terms of pain. You'll have improvement in your range, but not your pain. And the thing that's
Wow.
given me the most relief is actually bent over sled drags, where you actually bend over like this,
Yeah. So
and
forwards.
you're holding the rope in between your legs,
Yeah.
and you're just waddling forward like
Okay.
across an entire field. We just bought some sandbags and threw them in a duffel bag and just
Wow.
started doing hamstring sled drags. And it makes you remember what a glute pump and hamstring pump feels like.
Wow. That's really
Because,
interesting.
and in the moment, you're like, oh, I don't feel my hamstring at all. Then when you cool down, obviously it starts to,
Yeah.
hurt a little bit again. But if you keep doing that, that's what I wanted to recommend to you personally, because it worked for me. So I think it might work for you. Just
Wow.
give it a try if you've never done them before. Do them for like a week.
Yeah, we just bought a sled, so you're going to see a lot of sled
We bought.
stories.
Awesome.
I'm obsessed with sledding now because
Yeah.
ATV's really popularized it as well. But
Yeah.
um, it works wonders. We just bought a Rogue dog sled, and we're gonna start using that.
Yeah, that's a really fascinating thing, because that's what I learned about stretching too from Jeff from HTG. Like when I went there to visit, he was saying a really interesting point is that, well, like for me, when I'm inflexible, I never thought of it this way. I thought that like one part was tight, and then it was just super tight in it. But he mentioned it as an imbalance of muscles. So
Yeah.
like it's not that I'm just tight; it's that one muscle is so weak compared to another one being strong. So that really opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, I don't need to get it looser. I need to get something stronger, which is
Yeah.
hence why I'm doing the split squats, and that was super fascinating to me.
That's funny you say that too, because I'll do stuff like L sits or
Yeah.
anything hip flexor related, and all of a sudden like it just cramps to
Yeah,
hell
yeah,
because it's so weak.
I cramp terribly as well. It's
So
crazy.
yeah, I think we're in very similar
Yeah,
situations. I mean, built wise. So
yeah,
that's kind of neat that we can compare notes like that. But okay, we'll move on to the next thing.
sure.
So along the lines of you interviewing a lot of people, we're also huge fans of Jacob Tucker. We call
Oh,
him J Tuck, but I never met him or anything like that. But I know you've interviewed him.
yeah, maybe
Um,
I can give him a good word and get you guys on. That'd be sick.
no, that'd be awesome. I'd love to talk to him. But I'd like to know, like, you mentioned that you might follow up with him when you interviewed him way back. You're
Yeah.
like he would kind of follow up with you on certain things you talked about. Did you ever
Hips, I
follow
think,
up?
remember.
And,
Nope, we never followed up. I
oh,
think I might
really?
have shot him a message, and he said he might get back to me, and then I forgot to get back to it. We were both super busy, but I think if I hammer him enough, I might be able to get to it. But I think I found some old workouts of his or videos where I caught glimpses of the workouts he was doing, so I started doing them. Like the Bulgarian split squats were big. But what I remember from that really I took away from that was the unilateral movements. He was big on hips. He was big on unilateral hip movements, like the Bulgarian split squats with your foot behind you, and like so that was really huge. And he was big on lunges. Like he almost like didn't do too much bilateral things. So that was huge. But yeah, I actually want to follow up. I also don't want to bother him either.
Wow.
But
Had a baby.
that was cool. But yeah, he was the best. He was so humble, and also I think if I remember correctly, that interview, he was like at 40 inches and then just like skyrocketed to 50 or something. Like he just like blew up. He just kept increasing like insane. He's kind of a freak. I don't know. He makes me think that he just had the body for it. He can handle that strength. And I don't know. He just might be so in tune with what he's doing.
You know, it's funny too, because we've looked at all the guys that are, you know, similarly built. They're 5'10", white guys, whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of them that are super high jumpers like that are also extremely strong.
Yes.
In the weight room. I don't know if it's because they've just had such a weight room experience or growing up, or they're just naturally strong or whatever it is. But, you know, Nico's like that too. He's super strong. It seems like
there's a guy at Kenosha Flight Crew, if you've seen those guys.
Yep.
There's
Insane.
a 5'10" guy they're all like 5'10", between 190 and 200, and just and it tanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Kroha as well. He's insane.
There's a lot. I don't know if you can just weight train your way up to it, because you also have to stay healthy with that too. You can hurt your back or knees doing that. So it's a tough puzzle to fix. But that's where we're hoping that the sled will kind of like heal you, because it's almost like strength conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And then it allows you to just keep jumping and keep lifting without being hurt all the time.
That's great. Yeah, that's one thing. That's where my knee pain came, because I was squatting so much. And then I was jumping in the same weeks to try to hold on to my athleticism. But the thing is, that's another thing I was going to point out is I just have to, you have to spread it out. You got to go slow with the tendons. Because I squatted, I was going crazy. I was doing like 300 something, but maybe on the Smith machine, just even more. And then box squats as well, just crazy load on the tendon, but I felt great. Like I had no pain during the squat. And then the next day I felt great as well. I'm like, I can't believe I have much energy. And then I would jump like crazy. And then after the session, I would feel the pain. Or even during it, I'm like, oh, it's nothing. It's just a little bit of pain. But then that's like going through a ripped muscle, just kind of like pushing it. So I think strength is huge. I think for the short dunkers, I heard this once, is that you have a shorter torso, so you have less torque.
Yep.
Like with your body throwing up. So you need all that strength to be able to get up that high and produce that much force. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm trying to get to that strength level.
I got a question for you. Who would you want to dunk on the most?
Oh man. Oh, that's a good one.
Taco.
The thing is with Taco is that he's too tall. Like it doesn't look good. I think honestly, I'm not gonna pick someone out. I'll tell you this though. I'm gonna say I would love somebody in a game, in a real game, because sometimes you play LA Fitness, there's all these meatheads in there. They don't know what they're doing, so they just get under the rim. I want to play like a game where you know they're hoopers and they're elite players. And it's a regular game, half court set even, or maybe a fast break, and they really jump with me, and they have a legit vertical where it's like they can actually block me, we body, and I dunk it in the game. That's what I will say. Somebody who actually can contest and knows what they're doing and knows the risk involved in jumping with me, not somebody that has no idea and has no bounce and nobody personal, but just a defender that knows what's happening and can hoop. That's my dream.
It's more the situation that just proves how much of a beast you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that the dream of the dunking in game was always the dream. When I was a kid, I used to dunk on kids. I was always short. So whenever people would play like short hoops, I would always try to dunk on everybody, because I'm just like, you think I'm short? Okay, well then I dunk on you. And so it was always a fun thing. And if I could make that come true, when I make it come true in a real game, it would be insane.
Very cool.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so how about, along the same lines of, you really talk to a lot of people. You're quite the networked guy. Cool,
I thought about that recently. I should make like a Dunk Life network and just try to help everybody meet everybody.
That's kind of what Dunk Camp is all about, right?
It's pretty cool.
Bringing the whole community together.
It's funny. There's a show that we watched called My Hero Academia, and we were thinking it's just like it's an anime show that's really popular with America right now, but it came out a couple years ago. But we were thinking, My Dunker Academia.
Yeah.
It's the whole world of, it's kind of like its own community now, which is pretty cool.
So one thing I got to mention from Dunk Camp this year, which we just had like a week or two ago, I think it was last Monday. Cool. Kador Ziani was on it, who's like the godfather of dunking, if you guys know him. And
We
he
were
was
we
the
were on that call. We were
Oh,
on
you
the
were on it. Of course.
yeah
Yeah. What am I saying? Yeah, I remember the
yeah.
dunks. Okay, yeah, so that we have to bring that up. The World Dunk Association was amazing. I feel like that's a huge step towards everybody understanding what it is, and maybe that'll be where I don't know, maybe that'll lead into some kind of dunk network because that's kind of like a huge start.
It's like track and field meets gymnastics is kind of what
Yeah.
I see it
I
dunking as
like to
a sport.
say when I tell people that don't understand the dunk world and how big I see it being, I always give the MMA analogy because MMA it was like there was some people that were fans of the actual like sports of like famous people fighting and they were training themselves in these gyms and like in the back of another gym, kind of like the way we dunk in an LA Fitness because there's not really a dunk gym. And then MMA got their own gyms, and then it became people that want to practice the sport of dunking. But then it came to people that were just on like passing by, and they're like, "Oh, this looks like a great workout." And then when they tried the workout, they learned about their body, they learned about the little community with everybody in there, and how everybody's testing each other, and that's really what it reminds me of. So that's the best analogy I have so far.
CrossFit's kind of like that too, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's a
Steven,
good
who
one
do you
too.
think is at the top of the dunk game right now, and who do you
Oof.
think is the shining, rising star?
Wow. Okay, I think Isaiah's at the top for sure.
You think he's over
Kilgannon.
Connor and Jordan Kilgannon?
I don't know. I was literally gonna name them right there. Those three are really at the top for me.
They're the
Um,
big three.
yeah, they're the big three. The thing is, it's hard because like Jordan for is a great example. Like he'll go in the lab where he's just strength training for like a year or rehabbing an injury. So it's like even when he's in the lab, I still count him in because I know his potential and like if he had to do a dunk contest, like I feel like he could beat anybody. So it's tough. But at the current moment, it's like I just watched dunk camp. I'm watching Jordan's videos. I'm very like I'm not even consuming as much as you think I would be. So I'm kind of on the fringe, but like those guys are just at this point, like in a contest, I just think contest wise, because that's the quickest uh, barometer of who would win. Like they all have a million dunks. They all jump super high. I don't know if you could really beat either of them in the contest. Let me think for a second. Jay Clark's coming back. He looks really good. I don't know. I don't even know people in the dunk world. I see people doing dunk like Chris Staples. I see all the
Yeah.
time doing type of things, but I don't know if he's like I don't know if he can compete with them. Like if he goes against Isaiah, like Isaiah's got like insane dunks that I don't think Chris Staples has even tried yet. You know. So,
Did you know that?
but
Did you
then
know
again,
that Chris Staples was on The Bachelorette and he dunked over The Bachelorette?
I've heard that. I didn't know he dunked over her though. That's
That's
crazy.
how I even heard of him the first time I saw
Really?
him on
That's
The
wild.
Bachelorette.
No, but they're all good. I don't know. I'm really out of the loop when it comes to who's the best. I also just see my feed, my Instagram feed. That's basically all I see. So like
Yeah.
if I'm been friends with Isaiah for freaking 10 years, so obviously he's gonna pop up quick. And Barth is my freaking boy, you know. But I see who else. I'm trying to think of anybody else.
How about the rising stars though?
Rising stars. I always think of young kids though. I don't know if they're like really rising stars, but there's this kid. I think I forget his name, but his handle is like AKA Boing Man. I don't know if
Okay.
you see this guy. I gotta find. He's like he's super young, not super young, but maybe like I don't think he's got his first 10-foot dunk yet. But like he did like a 9-7 between the legs. His style, he's got hype. I just love watching him. He looks like my little younger brother, and he's just nasty. But it's just cool to see that generation up and coming in the dunk world. Um, oh, you know that kid Dream Chaser Sec? I just saw his video again today. He's got an insane mix, short, black dude. He's like 5'9". He gets his head like above the rim.
I think I've seen him before.
He
Yeah.
posted something today, or I think it was, and he said I might be one of the best dunkers at 5'9". And the reason why I bring him up is because him saying that makes me think he's kind of leaning towards the dunk world instead of the hooping world. So if he's saying that and he tries dunking, like he could be a huge up and comer because he could
Yeah.
fly. He's got spins. He's got between the legs. If he starts like practicing nasty dunks, like he could be a showstopper because his bounce is that insane. And I'm a sucker for the under 6 feet game.
Yeah, so are we.
Yeah.
Who was that guy that everyone was saying looked like you in the dunk contest?
Oh, I don't know. I just met him then too. That guy I just met as well. I didn't see him before, but he looked just like me. Dunked just like me.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
weird.
Yeah. I was like, this could be his twin brother.
Oh, another one. Anthony Hamilton.
Okay.
He's just like he's just freaky in the way he goes about it and like dunks he's trying and like the distance he's trying. Like if he focuses on the dunk skill, like the tricks and stuff like that, I feel like he could be huge because he's huge already. Like he's doing big things. I think he's popping off like an incredible athlete. But I don't know if he's like as known in the dunk world as much. Like he's known as a jumper kind of. I'm on like the fringe of these things.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
listen to
yeah.
me.
Well, makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
what would you say are your goals for 2020 and then maybe beyond that too?
Sure. So health, definitely get my body right. I don't want to be dealing with this. Jeff actually from ATG was like commenting on one of my posts. He's like, dude, by the time you would have decided, if you would have just decided to go in rehab mode instead of like on the fence, flip flopping back and forth, you would have been done already. I'm like, and that really just like made me realize like one of those things where you're like, I wish I started earlier. Just like you said, actually, you're like, you started in quarantine to get flexible. I wish I did that. I was just like, I think I got so shocked by like, I can't go to a gym. I was like, I'm going to stay in shape. But I really should have been like, I knew I had this injury. I'm like, I should have just started right there. There's no courts. That's why I'm doing it now, because there's no basketball yet, no organized basketball. So get my hamstring healthy, get the hips healthy, try to be 100% healthy and then get back to jumping just for my sanity and also just see where I'm peaking with a healthy body, and then right back to strength training. So I would love to jump 43 like measured if I could find somebody with a Vertec, because I haven't hit 43 yet, and then probably right back to strength training. But health first. Health, full body mobility would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. You should buy a Vertec.
I might, but they're like $700, aren't they?
Oh, really? Oh, that's it.
I think they are. I've looked into it. I actually built one. You could build one with PVC pipes
Yeah.
and like a little flags, but it's like so wobbly, like the wind.
Yeah.
So like if it's leaning just an inch, that defeats the purpose, because you're trying to measure by I go every fraction of the inch. But again, I guess I'm the Dunk Life networker. I think that might be my friggin' title. But I might know people with a gym around here that at least I might be able to go for a day. You know, if I really want to test my vertical, I might be able to have like a Vertec access. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And then you're about what, 28 years old now? 27?
27, 28. Yeah, 28 at the end of the year.
So do you think you'll be dunking in your 30s?
I think easily. I am very inspired by Myri Bowden. If you guys know him, Remix. Like by the way, he's at the top of the game too. Like you can't sleep on him. Like he kills contests, he flies.
He
And the thing about him, I saw him in a few contests last year, actually, like two of them, or maybe it was the year before too. But like last year, I saw him at Venice Beach. Like he doesn't miss. You throw a crazy lob, he'll do like disgusting scoop, and in person, because he's so big and powerful, like even if he does a scoop compared to like someone skinny and barely rattling in, like the scoop is just different. So, and when it comes to the top of the dunk game, I think of like who would win a contest, and he'll be right up there just because he doesn't miss, dunks so hard, and he's got insane bounce. So. But yeah, he inspires me to like that I can dunk till I'm friggin' 49.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Infinity's like that too.
Yeah, him too. Infinity like reminds me of like a Zen master. Like he's just in the sun. I'm always tagging him on my story saying soul food. He loves the sun. I love it. But he's just like he's flexible too. He had that thing. Did you see him doing his back and forth with his body like this kind of? I thought he was standing on something doing.
I thought he was too.
Yeah, it was crazy. I love that guy.
His leanness and just plastic look. I mean, he literally looks like you'd pinch his skin and you couldn't get anything.
Yeah, that speaking of that, I thought I couldn't get to this leanness that I'm at now, or a little bit leaner than this last year. What's that? Yeah. Give him a quick brick check. But like specifically with the abs. And one of your questions actually mentioned, I'm going to answer your own question that you asked me without asking it, which was, what was something that clicked for you? For me, one of them that clicked for me was like the body awareness. Like I didn't realize, like I was eating salt on different things. So I'm thinking of hydration, and I'm eating like little dressings here and there. I didn't realize that those little things would affect my leanness. Like I thought they were such small details, but not only with the details, but then the body awareness of lifting correctly. Like you said, you cramp with the L sits.
Yeah.
I was just trying to do leg raises on like a bench, like literally like a decline bench, just lift my legs. And I'm like, I couldn't even keep my legs straight. And I thought it was because I was inflexible. But then when I tried to force them straight, I felt cramping and like my quads cramping. And like, I'm like, man, I think they're just crazy weak. It was at the same time that I was learning about the flexibility. I'm like, man, that crazy weakness in my hip flexor, that's connected to my abs. And then plus the diet, I learned so much about body awareness and being able to get to plastic doll shape.
What else did Jeff tell you, if you can recall?
Sure.
You seem to have learned a lot from him.
I loved it because he's a thicker guy. He's not a slender guy that's flexible, you know? So that's like, I think I need to see it to believe it, you know? So like when I see someone thick that's flexible and he tells me I can too, that's bigger than somebody that's like a gymnast that's very, very thin that's telling me I can get flexible. I'm like, dude, have you seen my legs? Like, I don't think these things move correctly. And so he told me, like, one thing he taught me as well is like really breathing, and also that I think it was after 45 seconds muscles can relax, because when you stretch and you're holding a stretch, your muscles are trying to protect you, so they're like tense, you know. And so even though like and I remember in college like holding stretches for like 30 seconds and like fucking sorry, like holding it so tight. I'm thinking monetization, you know. I got to keep you boys keep you boys steady. But like I'm holding a stretch, like ripping my leg. I say ripping, it wasn't hurting, but it was like so painful, like so discomfort, I should say, so uncomfortable, and just holding it there for so long. And then when he told me that, I'm like, man, I was doing nothing because you have to be able to relax. He taught me about my face. If my face is scrunching, then I know it's too much, like release it a little bit. And then the fact that when you breathe and you breathe a lot, it can help the muscle relax so that way it can actually start to elongate or stretch. I don't know if that elongate's the right word, but it could actually start to make progress.
Yeah.
It's a huge one.
How much you weighing right now?
176.2. That was this morning. I weigh it every morning and I write it in my app to really keep track. But
is that
yeah.
like is that 176 or so? Is that your sweet spot?
So another good question. This past year when I learned the body awareness and the leanness, I was jumping really great. As you said, I was yeeting off the floor, doing it more. I was going up, so I started doing upper body because whenever I started lifting upper body consistently, I don't know if it's mental, I don't know if it's just the strength as a short dunker, but whenever I lifted upper body consistently, I always had better jumping days. So I kept getting stronger and stronger. Plus, I knew how to lift my upper body. Quick tangent was that when I did my pull-ups, I did pull-ups my whole life, but I was like pulling with all different muscles. I never thought to like focus and flex a certain muscle, like the lat. So I never had like developed lats. So I'm like, geez, I can't even do a pull-up. You know, there's like a lot of details to these things. But so as I developed my upper body, I forget the question. What was I even saying?
Is 176 your ideal weight spot?
Yeah. Sorry. So then, as I'm getting my upper body bigger, I'm gaining a little bit of weight, but my jumping is still going up. And then I got up to 180 and I was jumping at my highest, like right before quarantine. So my sweet spot's around, I think 180, but if I'm heavier and I'm jumping higher, I'm fine with that. I used to think it was like I was trying, like there was a point in my career I was trying to get as skinny as possible to really like maximize my jumping, and that just didn't work. So I've tried both, and when I was 180, thick but lean, and I felt super strong. Like I felt like everything was moving efficiently, and it felt really, really explosive because I think maybe my upper body had so much muscle, it was just so forceful. But yeah, so this is around the sweet spot right now, but I'm okay with getting a little bit more size, and as long as my jumping goes up.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think our sweet spot, we want to be about 190 just because we like the bigger look.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can maintain the leanness at 190 because I don't want to just be big to be big for no reason.
Yeah.
I want it to be all muscle mass and that V taper and everything.
The X with the legs now.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see, but I think that'd be a nice little.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm big on the leanness. And I don't know if it's just my mind. I'm big on my mind, though, because if I feel like super lean, I feel like, oh, all this size is just going to help because it's moving efficient. But yeah, I don't know. I look at Jacob Tucker, and I'm just like, that guy's freaking giant. I look at Croha, he's giant. I'm like, I'm not even big, so I got nothing to worry about.
I know. That's how we feel, too. And these guys are super strong, too. I guess the strength to weight ratio is the biggest thing.
Yeah, true. I love that.
But, okay, did you have any other further questions?
Nah, we can wrap up.
Well, you can promote whatever you want to right now while you got
Dunk Life. That's it. I don't know. I think just type in my name on any platform and that'll work, Steven Celi. And yeah, come to me if you need any coaching, one-on-one training. I'm looking forward to doing more group calls because I really love like I said, the one-on-one. It's really helpful when someone asks me a direct question and I get to ask them, what did you do last week? You know, if they say like, how do I heal this? It's like, well, what's happening? You know, there's always a follow-up. So find me anywhere. I don't know. TikTok's fun. I'm having fun everywhere. I'll be everywhere. That's my strength.
Steven or Stevie, which is your favorite iteration?
I don't know. I think Stevie, first of all, Steven Celi was taken. So that sucked. But Stevie's cool because it's kind of a little bit fun, I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just a little bit different. I always like I said, I like to do things, shake things up. I don't want my name change my name. So I don't know what's happening.
Fair enough. Well, if you're ever in Dallas, we'd love to have you
Dude,
over at the house.
That'd be awesome.
Get a dunk sesh going.
For sure.
Welcome to stay in our guest room if you want to do a little weekend trip.
Yeah, likewise. You can. I have a couch. I don't have a second room, but there you go. If you're ever
We'll
in
see if
Florida.
we'll see if there's a second wave of Corona that prevents that,
Ugh.
but it's yeah.
I'm trying to think. I might be. Nah, we'll talk later. But yeah, if we're ever near the same town, I like to do dunk meetups. I did that once in DC. So if I ever do that again, maybe it'll be in Dallas because a lot of people have said Texas is a big place for them.
Yeah,
So who knows?
McGuire is popping off. I don't know if you saw him. He's the
Who
guy
is
who
that?
won the 10-foot contest.
Who did?
McGuire.
Oh my
McGuire.
God! Oh my God! I didn't even see like that. He's huge. The other guy that was in the contest was huge. McGuire, and who was the other guy? Joseph Dunks.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a new up. He's flying. Like those kids are flying.
Yeah.
So
Well,
McGuire's
we
huge.
had McGuire dunk. We had McGuire dunk on our rim outside,
That was
and
sick. Yeah.
I was like, maybe it's tough. It's tougher to dunk on concrete, and I don't know. Anytime I have a rough day, I try to like rationalize my way out of it.
Yeah.
First dunk, he doesn't even have to warm up. He just punches a two-hand contact. I'm like, okay, well, I guess it is possible. I'm just
Yeah, he makes me want to jump left, right. He had a dunk just on his story. I looped 100 times. It's just a basic off the dribble. And he just got so high, so much time, punched it. Makes me want to do left, right so badly.
Yeah, and he's kind of an interesting case study too because he's quite lean. So he's also one of those really lean guys, but he's 6'1". He can squat 405. His flexibility is actually not that good. We kind of ran him through the gauntlet of tests to see what makes this guy tick. He could barely get into the couch stretch, so it's not it's not like one thing solves everything. It's kind of like a mix, a puzzle.
Yeah.
And
That's it. The puzzle. It's really tough. I always say it's like the full life. Oh, one more thing. You guys had a great question of like something I love. I forget what it was, some quote or like a new thing I learned. But what I love about the dunk life and everything is like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I'm trying to go hard in training, I go hard in recovery as well, and I go hard in nutrition. It's like everything's the same. You can't be like the most elite athlete and have the worst diet. It just won't work long term. It might work a little bit, but like it just won't work.
The whole picture's got to be there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And another one I like is you're only as strong as your weakest link. So
I love that.
That's going to be holding you back. If we were talking about the hip flexors cramping, it's funny because sometimes you'll look and the rim looks short, but you still can't get it. And it's like, man, because something's bothering you.
Yes.
So it's I think we've all got some progress to make here.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much. This was really awesome.
Yeah, love to stay in touch, and best of luck on your rehab cycle.
Thanks a lot, guys. I'll let you know how it goes. I'll probably reach out for you for any tips. Maybe I'll send you some videos. You can critique them.
Hey, try that bent leg.
I will. I'll be doing it soon.
Over sled drag.
I'll be doing it in the gym, walking through the gym with my friggin' bent over with the things through my leg.
Might get some looks, but it's worth it.
I don't give up. Yep.
All right.
Cool, man.
Take care, man.
Peace. I'm going to stop this.